to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a brief moment of silence. Thank you.
Thank you.
Call this meeting to order at 7:01. Item C under opening exercises, meeting announcements. Board meeting was held on October 24th at 7 p.m. The executive session was held on October 24th from 8:23 to 8:35 to discuss personnel. The executive session was held after the October 24th board meeting at 9:20 p.m. to discuss legal and personnel items. The executive session was held on November 14th at 6 p.m. to discuss student issues, personnel, and legal items. A workshop meeting. Correct. Okay, thank you. A workshop meeting was held on November 14th at 7 p.m. An executive session will be held after this meeting for personnel and legal discussions. Item B, roll call.
Ms. Joy Beers,
Present.
Mr. Richard Phelps,
Here.
Ms. Barbara Bose,
Here.
Mr. Nathan Fuller,
Present.
Mr. Jeremy Glausch,
Present.
Ms. Heather Neff,
Present.
Mr. Brian Shaner, absent, Mrs. Carrie Sidler,
Present.
and Ms. April Walker. Thank you.
Item E, presentations, recognition. We do not have any, correct? Item F, public comment. Mr. Dave Bradley. I remind everyone to try to limit themselves to 3 minutes.
Thank you. Under your agenda, you show a, I think it's 5E or something, the expulsion of a student. I think we all agree that the protection of students is the most critical part of this government agency and public school, and the way that that's done historically is you write policy, you administer that policy to the administrators, right, the administration department, and then they administer the policy, and the board is the responsible party to make sure that that policy is followed. And then the administration, that's subordinate to the board hierarchy, then dictates that the staff and all the students comply with that policy, and any violations of that policy, you guys then adjudicate. I think to protect the students, you should follow your policy. Pretty straightforward. The board should follow it, the staff should follow it, the administration should follow it. There's nowhere in any of your policies that allows for a waiver of expulsion for a student. Nowhere. There's nowhere in the state law that allows a waiver of expulsion for a student. The rights of the student are paramount. They have the same rights, they should have the same rights they have on the street as they have in this government school. So there's a court case that just came out in the court of Pennsylvania that tends to conflict with what you're trying to do here with this expulsion. If you wanted to do this, a moral board would first follow what Hanover did and adopt a policy that says we're allowed to do this, and the people would have a right to either think it's a good idea or a bad idea. And then I sent to the board a copy of what that policy looks like in the form of a parent and a school district and a board and an administration that would like to allow someone to give up their constitutional rights to due process in exchange for expelling themselves or really withdrawing themselves from your school district. fights for this and wins, we all lose. Kid loses, we lose, you lose, everybody spends money in athletics. You're taking away the citizens' right to have children educated. That's free and public education, that's what we're aiming for. Get the kids educated so they don't make mistakes. If a middle school student makes a mistake, we need to educate them more, not throw them out of school. If he did something really heinous, like it says in this letter, I can understand he needs even more education. And probably prior to it got to this point. And he needs protection under the law and protection under your policies, and you guys should follow the policies and the law. Since you don't have it, thank you. Since you don't have it yet in your policy, please, I'm begging you, postpone this agenda item till next month, pass the policies that you want to do, and then follow the law. Don't do something that doesn't follow the law and harm students. Thank you.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
At the end.
Oh, this is at the end? Okay. Moving on to item G, reports. Superintendent?
This Sunday, I was invited to a Boy Scout honor court. One of our students, a junior here at our high school, Avery Hostler, was awarded Eagle Scout level of certification. Avery was gracious enough to invite me to his honor court. Avery did a project where he did 4 benches and 4 dog care kits around a local walking path for community. And I think I sent him a letter, and I think he exemplifies what we're looking for from our students. He talked about how he almost gave up on the Boy Scouts, but he stuck with it, and as a result, he was able to achieve the highest level of Boy Scouts that he able to achieve. So I just wanted to publicly acknowledge his accomplishment and thank him for inviting me to his honor court. You have those attendance reports? So last board meeting, I talked about teacher attendance, and was talking about that for one, to better understand as we enter into the budgetary process how subs are impacting our budget, but also to talk about how much as our teachers are burdened with, and that to have a dialogue with them about why they're needing to be out of school and are there alternatives. The other side of that is also talking about how students are in school, so I'll be talking about attendance. But I want to talk about our Safe to Say reports. This is one indicator, it is not the only indicator of what's happening with some of our students in schools today and what our administration is dealing with. So Safe to Say, if you're not aware, is an initiative where the Attorney General comes in, works with our parents, works with our staff, works with our students to give them a safe and anonymous venue in order to report concerns they might have about their peers or themselves or their community. So we get, an individual makes a Safe to Say report, and then we get an immediate notice that it's occurred. It gets qualified into certain categories, and then they do, based on the categories, the Safe to Say has an immediate response, or they defer it to us, just depending on what the report is. So July and August obviously don't have a lot of numbers, but if you scroll down, you can see September, the different types of things that we were receiving Safe to Say reports about. You'll see the 2 highest, or the 3 highest in that month were incidents of cutting, incidents of smoking or tobacco use, as well as incidents of drug distribution. These are kids reporting on kids. These are community members reporting on individuals that they see reports on. So the reports can come from a variety of sources. But we immediately then investigate and address it, and depending on the level, law enforcement gets involved. But you'll see we had 22 safe to say incidents. Now, I want to clarify, this is not the only way that we find this information out. This is just one source of these types of things. So keep that in mind. That doesn't mean that we only have 22 incidents in total across the district. It just means these are the ones that came to us through safe to say. If you'll scroll to the next one. October. So in October, you'll see an uptick in some things such as bullying and harassment and intimidation. This is a concern for me that I'm seeing this happening more frequently, and I do believe we need to have a more systematic process to address this. These are some of the things, though, that are happening in our classrooms and our schools that teachers and counselors and administrators are dealing with. And then if you'll go to November, and if you looked at this report earlier when we reported it, I've made updates today because over the weekend we had, that didn't get on here. We actually are up to 14. We had several, we're up to 6 since the beginning of the month, suicide ideation reports. This is definitely a concern for me, for our student community as to why we're having an uptick in that area. We have, I think at the last board meeting I talked about my local district had a freshman commit suicide just 3 weeks ago, 3-4 weeks ago. We're seeing a definite uptick in kids talking about this. Unfortunately, this is not unusual at this time of the year. Holiday seasons tend to bring out some of this, but it's a concern that we really do need to address. And it goes to the mental health state of the students who are in their classrooms, and what our teachers are faced with before they even